My name is Patrick Dyer. I'm the chair of the Complaint Review Committee of the Process Server Certification Advisory Board. I now call this meeting to order. Could I have a roll call, please?
Patrick Dyer.
Here.
Justice Raspberry.
Here.
Rhonda Huey.
Here.
Dan Brulette.
Present.
Carol Watson.
Here.
Staff members present are myself, Jeff Renard, Melinda Saucedo, Mina Mohan, Amy Smith, Thais Holcomb, Kenesha Daniels, and you have a quorum.
Thank you, Jeff. At this meeting, the committee members will discuss and consider the complaint, the answer, and any other materials that have been submitted. In addition, our investigator, Ms. Amy Smith, has submitted her reports to the committee. We will then vote to determine whether violations and sanctions are appropriate or recommend to the commission that a complaint be dismissed. This is an administrative process, not a trial, but each side has been given the opportunity to present their position in writing to the committee. The members of this committee have already read what has been submitted, so there is no need to simply repeat what has already been said. If the committee determines that you are in violation of the commission's laws, you will be mailed a notice of violation letter and you will have the opportunity to respond. There is an additional step if your case is dismissed. Your case will be presented before the commission at its commission meeting. The commission will vote to approve or not approve your dismissal. The meetings of the commission are open to the public and you will receive notice of them. We will now proceed with item number 1 on the agenda. Item 3 on the agenda in the matter of Ms. Dial, case number 0540. Ms. Smith, could you please summarize your report for this item?
Yes. On February 16th, 2023, Robert Burleff, the complainant, filed a complaint against Katherine Dial, the respondent, alleging the respondent filed a false affidavit of service, claiming that she had personally served the complainant when she had taped the documents to the reception booth. The respondent denied the allegations and stated she served the documents to a woman who stated she could accept the papers on the complainant's behalf, and both parties are here.
We did find violations in this case, committee members, Code of Ethics section, subsection A, and we're recommending a reprimand and that the respondent complete a 7-hour pre-certification civil process service education course within 6 months from the date of the final order. If the respondent renews her process server certification with the commission by December 31st, 2024. If the respondent does not renew her process server certification by December 31st, 2024, the respondent must pay an administrative penalty of $300 no later than 6 months from the date of the final order.
Okay, do we have the parties present?
Yes.
Okay, is Ms. Dial there?
Yes, sir, I am here.
Okay, I have reviewed your complaint, and in the return of service, you state that you personally served Robert Burleff. That to me doesn't jive with being told that Ms. Molina could accept service on his behalf. Can you explain that to me? Well, first off, did Ms. Molina tell you that she could accept service on his behalf?
He did say that she could accept service on his behalf, but in my affidavit, I state that I served it to Burleff and Associates. And whenever I served it to Miss Molina that day, she did state that she could accept on his behalf and would ensure that he would get it.
Did you give it to her then?
Yes, sir, I did. I did not at any time tape any documents to the window or whatever they stated.
Well, okay, I understand your point there. It's just that if you're giving service of a citation on someone and the person that you're talking to just says, I'll accept service on his behalf, that's not good enough service. Do you understand that?
Yes, I understand your point. Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's a problem here because your return of service says that you gave it to someone who said they were accepting its service on his behalf, and that's not good service. So that's why the complaint has been made. Do you understand that?
Yes, I understand.
The other thing I notice on the return is that you state that you received the general precept to be delivered to Robert Barlett and Associates. And then the next paragraph, you say, you delivered an original precept to Burles and Associates. Okay. In one instance, you're referring to a private, or excuse me, liability company. And then in the other, you're referring to the individual. Which one did you serve?
I served Burleth and Associates, PLLC.
Okay. You are aware that the precept had both, correct? Both the individual and the PLLC?
I don't have a copy of that in front of me.
Okay. Do any members of the committee have, well, before we get there, is there anything you would like to respond, Ms. Dial, that you haven't already submitted to the committee?
No, sir. I submitted the amended affidavit. I submitted my statement in regards to the day of service. Whenever I handed the document to Miss Molina, I sent in a photograph of where Miss Molina sits, where it indicates that she is suite 200, where I also sent in a photograph or a screenshot of Burleth and Associates' usual place of business, which would be that location at suite 200.
Okay. Do you understand that that's irrelevant here because you've already admitted that you had improper service because you served it to somebody who just said could accept service?
I was just stating what I had sent in, so I don't have anything further than that.
Okay. All right. Members of the committee, do you have any questions that you'd like to address with Ms. Dial, please?
I have one. How was it that an amended affidavit was filed?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
How was it that an amended affidavit of service came to be filed with the court?
I accidentally did a typo in my certification number. It's 16107, and I did 16707 whenever it was typed out. So I did an amended return to correct my certification number.
I believe that a motion would be required for that. Was that done?
No, I did not file a motion. I just filed an amended return that was accepted by the court.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Do we have the respondent present?
This is Robert Burlesky. I think you meant the complainant, not the respondent.
I'm sorry. Okay. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
I did not. My comment is that there is no way she could have served me or anybody from my office there. That is just a mailing address only. We're a debt collections law firm, and so obviously sometimes people are not very happy with us, and so we have a building receptionist. That's all Miss Molina is. It's just a building receptionist. She's not a representative of Burleth and Associates, and she would not have said that she could accept service. She might have said, I could give him, if you have a package for him, I'll put it in their box. But that's the extent of what Miss Molina would have said and normally says when somebody tries to deliver something to it. With that said, I do believe that the person that retained Miss Dial for services is a deceptive person in general, and I believe that she may have been subject to some of his persuasion. He has since been declared a vexatious litigant. He's a known con man. He's a convicted sex offender, felon. He's got millions of dollars in judgments and unpaid liabilities. So I suspect that where the rubber meets the road is that he convinced Miss Dial to produce a false service and that he could try to capitalize on in the Tarrant County Court. And that's probably the catalyst behind this, not necessarily Miss Dial.
All right, let's keep to what we have complaint. I move to adopt the prosecutor's proposed violations and sanctions. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Are we missing one? Okay, so I've got 3 ayes. Do we have any nays?
I didn't hear justice.
I didn't hear justice.
Aye.
Okay, so that 4.
You're muted, Carol.
All right. Yes, aye.
Okay, so we've got 5 ayes, carry it. To Ms. Dial and Mr. Burleth, y'all are free to stick around for the rest of this telephonic hearing, or to go about your day as you normally would. Thank you for your attendance and your assistance in resolving that. We now move
Thank you.
Thank you.
We now move to agenda item 3B in the matter of Lisa Hicks, cause number 0550. Ms. Smith, could you provide us the summary, please?
Yes. On March 27th, 2023, Harold Riddle, Justice of the Peace in Washington County, Texas, complainant, filed a complaint against Lisa Hicks, respondent, alleging the respondent filed several false returns of service with the court. The respondent denied the allegations, and the respondent is here.
And the response is Ms. Hicks. Is she there?
And Chairman, we do have a recommendation for a sanction,
Sorry.
and that is the permanent revocation of the respondent's process server certification and an admin penalty of $2,000 total due within 12 months after the date of the final order for violations of Code of Ethics 2B, C, D, and 14E.
Okay, did you say permanent revocation?
That's correct.
Okay, can you flesh that argument out for me, please?
Sure. She claimed that she had served 2 individuals whom she did not serve, who presented evidence to the court that they were not served. One found a citation in her flower pot, and the other one found the citation on the road and had yellowed with time.
How does that handle the fines of $2,000? If
It's a maximum penalty of $500 per violation for 4 violations.
do we have any questions or comments from members of the committee? Is Ms. Hicks here?
Yes, sir. I sure am.
Okay. Is there anything that you would like to add to what you have already submitted to the committee?
Yes, sir. I would.
Okay.
Actually, I tried to obtain information in regards to the serves in question. Went up 2 days prior to the court date even, and I was denied. Any information, keeping in mind that process servers do lots of serves throughout the week and throughout the whole year in entirety. This was 2 years ago, but I'm concerned with the fairness of the proceedings and the denial of critical evidence that could have helped me adequately prepare and defend myself, because I actually was just recently able to obtain a small clip, a photo of the actual man saying that he was not served and that it was left at his gate and that the papers were yellowing. I wear a body camera, especially now, realizing that there's nothing to protect us. At the time I was driving Uber though, and I'd forgotten all about having a dash cam at that time. And also knowing that this gentleman himself that says this actually lied bold-faced to the court, saying, well, he didn't remember what serve he found that was left. And then he retracted it and said, okay, well, I think it was another one I was talking about, but I'm going to find out he had been served other papers by other servers in from different counties for things unrelated to this. So, I mean, Mr. Riddle, Judge Riddle, denied me the crucial evidence that could have helped me prepare for this long ago, and I had no idea what I was getting into, or I went in blindsided, basically, tried and convicted without a trial.
Well, except you were in control of everything that happened with regard to your affidavit of service. Nobody forced you to sign or do anything with regard to that, and that's what the issue here is.
Who was served?
Who did you serve? And the question is whether you had personal service or some form of alternative service.
It was personal service, and the man was irate and very intimidating. at that. And I actually had witnesses as well. So
You had witnesses when?
it was in the second service to him, because the first one he was very irate and yelling and not happy. And then there's other servers that serve in that county, so we share ride many times. So I rode up with, well, actually, he rode with me that time. So another server had ridden with me as well. And so the burgundy truck that the gentleman refers to is indeed that truck. But keeping in mind that ABC legal requires that you take pictures upon arrival, and then it has to be submitted as you're there, because it marks your location, your latitude, your longitude, and the time and date that it took place. But you have to capture the evidential photos per these serves. So I typically just wear a body camera or my cell phone just underneath a binder, and I record. But this was earlier on. I was actually certified right in the height of COVID. I'm the girl that went and sat on y'all's porch there at the courthouse, drove 2 hours during COVID to find out how much longer it'd be till my certification got pushed through. But I take this very seriously. I deeply have compassion and care for others. And this is not my character. And I was on my 4th attempt with the one that he's saying that happened, where it wouldn't have made any sense for me to leave those documents when I could have just taken them back with me, filed for the 106 or 107 in the case that it's a gate, and collected, another measly $35 for taking him out a second time and posting it to the gate. It just wouldn't have benefited me in any way to do that. But he sat in court and blatantly told the judge that those charges on the papers weren't his. And then he retracted that, said, okay, well, maybe the top charges are, but the bottom aren't. But the judge asked, do you still have your credit card in possession? He says, yes. And long story short, all of the charges were similar stores in the same time period, which he first said none of them were his. So, I mean, that's questionable character in my own humble opinion, in regards to, I wasn't given a chance. I mean, I don't even think the judge listened to a thing I said. And again, I drove up before that day just asking and inquiring, please, sir, can you tell me, what this is involving? And he's like, I just need you to show up and testify. And that was all I was told, which is baseless and obviously unjust, because I was not able to prepare at that time for anything.
Okay, ma'am, we're
sir.
proceeding. That's a complaint review committee with regard to service of process. What
Yes,
may
sir.
transpired in other venues is not relevant to these proceedings. So the issue that we have before us is you've got returns of service reflecting personal service on 2 individuals who have come out and both said, no, that never happened. What is your response to that?
My response is they were served. And now that I know who they were, you can actually go look. I have obtained the photos of the license plate numbers of both of the ladies' vehicles showing the day she was home on the day she was served. And also I found it's a partial photo of him because he was moving around. So of the other individual. And also there's relation between the one in Sealy and himself.
Where did you serve Mr. And how do you spell that one? Lorenz Teat?
Teat. Yeah, he has a long driveway, a dirt driveway that leads back to his home. He has a front entryway gate that requires key code access in order to enter it. So I serve in the rural areas mainly. I had waited there for several minutes, and actually, again, this was my 4th attempt. The first 3 times I was unable to get him, so I had to depart. But on the 4th attempt, he pulled up beside me at his front gate asking what I was doing there. So that's how that occurred. And he was going into his property as I was parked outside of it. And very, very possible to serve at a gate. I do it all the time. You have to just be patient and wait. That one actually I didn't wait very long. He showed up.
Mr. Chairman, may I add something?
Yes.
In page 2 of the complaint, it also said the respondent stated she's locked out of the ABC Legal account. She is not the first person that I've had contact with ABC Legal that when they lock you out, they lock you out. And one of the motions, recommendations I'd make is to table this until we could subpoena ABC Legal to provide that information to her, to Ms. Hicks, so she could properly give that information out.
Thank you. Yeah,
Is-
I had no way to access any of that.
All right, any other comments from the committee members?
I'd like to clarify something that Ms. Hicks said. You said that you had someone in the vehicle with you. Was that someone in the vehicle with you on that 4th attempt when you served the defendant, or were
That would
you-
be both times. We share ride share.
Okay. All right.
Now I have a question about the complainant with the photograph that was submitted. That was from surveillance video, is that correct? Is it a still shot?
The photograph, yes, that was submitted. That was the photograph that Lorenz Teedet, I guess, took a still shot from his security camera.
And was the actual footage submitted or just that still shot?
That when I asked, I don't know. I know when I asked for any evidence, the judge or the complainant only sent that still shot. And then when I spoke with Mr. Teedet, he said he doesn't think he has the footage anymore.
I have a still shot of him.
Do you take any
That's
note?
from a dash cam, of course, so it's not a very good picture, but I had to go get an old phone that I had and have the pictures that I had taken. Once I found the dates on the letter I received from you all for today, I found the dates. I went immediately to that old phone, reactivated it, and extracted the photos from there. And I did actually have a partial photo. It's not very good at all, but
Do you take notes of any of your serves?
absolutely. And there are full descriptions of both individuals describing their hair color, their height, their weight, their eye color, literally everything. And you can't leave with ABC Legal, you can't even leave the premises until you input all that information and submit it, because that's how it tracks your time, date, and location upon completion.
Is there any particular reason why you waited until this stage of the proceedings?
I've been in the hospital. Well, I've actually worried about this for a year, but I was in the hospital.
Hold on, let me finish.
Okay.
I want to know why you waited so long before you raised this issue. I don't see anything in the complaint or the response that says you were prevented from testifying with regard to what you just said.
The subpoena only gave a name, and that I had no other information of anything. And then when I drove up to Brenham and talked to Mr. Riddle, I drove all the way to the courthouse, which is not a short trip. And I said, sir, what is this involving? Just, so I know what I need to prepare for. Again, process servers do hundreds of serves a month, and, quite a few within the year. And it would be impossible to know, who he's referring to. And again, that was 2 years ago. So that's why I asked.
Saying you didn't get notice of the complaint?
No, there was no notice. It was a subpoena that simply said you're hereby called to testify in the matter of, and it gave a name. It didn't say even what it was regarding.
No, I'm talking about this complaint, not a subpoena in some other proceeding. But
yes, sir.
Okay. Are you saying that the Judicial Branch Certification Commission, the investigation report, is based on your never having received notice of it?
Never received notice of today's hearing?
The entire complaint process from when the complaint was first filed, March 27, 2023.
No, I had got notice of it in the mail, and I was shocked. And of course I looked for information, but I didn't even remember having a different phone. Didn't even think to refer to that. But I mean, I've just been waiting for this day so I could present it. I wasn't sure how, I've never been in trouble and I haven't been a process server for very long, but I just thought that's what today was for, sir.
Any questions or comments from the committee?
I would express my support for Mr. Roulette's suggestion to table it. And I think it's important that the committee ask for the video of the entirety of that period of time that was submitted in a still shot. Because a still shot, if somebody's waiting at a gate for some time for the defendant to come out, I don't think tells the entirety of the story.
Absolutely.
What is your recommendation with regard to other documents she might get? I mean, are we given an open-ended time where she goes out and does her investigation, which she obviously did not do before today?
Well,
What are the
I
limits?
tried.
What are the limits on saying let's go ahead and table these complaints and give them more time to go investigate when they haven't used the time that was available to them?
well, it's not just that, Mr. Chairman, is ABC Legal will not respond. When they give you that, your services are no longer needed, you are locked out of everything. You can't go back and get your information that you have because it's all on the phone. It's all digital. The only thing you have is your handwritten note sheet, because everything is photographed in there. You can't really necessarily pull down a copy of it yourself. As far as the servers, the 4 servers that spoke to, well, she's the 5th one now, spoke to me regarding this. And so I feel ABC Legal will have to be subpoenaed to provide those records. And I'm not sure what time frame that will take to help bolster her case, because it's a very extreme, to me, it seems like an extreme punishment when you don't have access to the records that you need. And I think that's something ABC Legal's have to provide to their servers in the future whenever there's a complaint or a future trial or something like that regarding their information. Because they say, do not contact us.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I tried anyway.
My response to the chairman's question would be that I'd feel comfortable waiting until the next meeting. And it sounds like the respondent is doing some due diligence to find information from a device. And if that information can be submitted timely before the next meeting, I think it would be helpful. I understand the chairman's position about not having done the due diligence to this point. But I also hear the response.
Also, there's also the issue of getting this committee involved with telling a potential litigant what to go look for, and here, do this because this company always does this. I mean, we can't put ourselves in that position, and that's not what we're here for.
Right. And I'm
She
not of the
has a duty to pursue her claim in accordance with the law, not to come to us and complain that she thinks she was treated poorly. But I'm okay with giving additional time if that's what the rest of the committee members want to do, but let's put some limits on it. And I don't want to be in the same position 3 months from now with someone saying, I couldn't get what I wanted. So give me
I tried. I was hospitalized for a month with sepsis and pneumonia right after that. So.
And if I can add also, that ABC Legal has, when I was the investigator, ABC Legal has not wanted to work with us. They will not answer any questions. They will not help us with any information that we need for investigations. Even when they've conducted their own investigations, they will not release anything to us. We've asked them for pictures. We've asked them for GPS. We've asked them for information in general. And they have always been unwilling. And I understand that Dan had talked about a subpoena, but just to give some background, ABC Legal is not easy to work with at all.
What I'm hearing, it sounds like the respondent has information on her phone available to her. If she can submit that before the next meeting, I'd be comfortable in reviewing it again. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Vina, what is your recommendation with regard to a timetable?
I know that Amy was thinking that the next meeting would be on the 20th or the 19th of December. So I've never had to issue an administrative subpoena to an entity before. I don't know if there's even a time frame for requiring that they, produce any evidence. We can get on it as quickly as we can, but I don't know if we would be able to wrap up our investigation by the December 20th, but I would think that would be enough time that we would be able to come up with something. We've never used that process before, and maybe they'll be more responsive.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an uphill climb personally, because we're not an adjudicative body with regard to discovery or ongoing disputes between litigants. Anyway, so would the recommendation be to table this until December or whatever it was?
What I would,
Go ahead.
sorry, what I would suggest is someone can make a motion to table until such time that the investigation can be completed, because I don't know how long that's going to take. We can certainly shoot for December. I think that would be sufficient time, but since we've never used this process, I don't know if I can guarantee that a date certain.
And if I might clarify, I'm not in any way suggesting that we subpoena ABC Legal. My point or my motion would be to allow the respondent to submit what she's now found on devices, on her own devices, as opposed to the company's
It's
devices.
just the one, it's a partial.
But we haven't received that, is that correct?
No, I just thought to like look back and do that. It never occurred to me. I was driving Uber at the time as well for extra money. So I forgot all about having the webcam, and then I had taken a photo of photos basically back then because he was just such a jerk, but I'd forgotten about it, and it's only a partial because I had to slow the video down because it was kind of pan past him when he was moving. So it's a really bad picture, but it's him. I mean, and I described him perfectly in the return, like his height, his weight, his hair color, his age, like every bit of it. And
Okay.
The woman with that license plate and everything.
Ma'am, we're not going to repeat what we've already covered.
Okay.
One of the other things that we're going to have to address is process servers sitting on a committee where a litigant has requested their assistance, and they're more than willing to try to get it for them. I just put that on the back burner right now. I move that we table this complaint committee hearing until the next session, which would be December 20th.
I
It'll
think
be
it's
December
19th.
December 19th.
2024. Is that a sufficient motion, Vina?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And passes, and it'll be reset. Vina, and I assume you'll send out a letter with regard to the new deadline.
Yes, sir. We'll do that.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Hicks, you're free to go or to listen to the other hearings.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too, sir.
You move on now on agenda item 3C in the matter of Donald Womble.
Yes. On May 30th, 2023, Stephen Lang, Jackson County Sheriff complainant, filed a complaint against Donald Womble, the respondent, alleging the respondent filed several false returns stating he personally served defendants when he did not. The respondent stated the criminal case was taken care of and he is no longer a process server.
We did find violations in this case of Code of Ethics 2B, C, D, 14C, 14D, 14E, and 14F. We're recommending the permanent refusal to renew the respondent's process server certification and administrative penalty of $3,050 total due within 12 months after the date of the final order for those violations.
do you have a copy of his June 18, 2023 letter where it starts off the 3 complaints referenced in this cause? I'm sorry, but I have no remembrance of the service. And then basically he says, at 75 years old, I am not physically able to perform the duties of the job as process server. And he's basically saying he's not going to do it anymore. If we give a permanent refusal to renew or a revocation, do we really need to sanction him financially?
I mean, it's up to y'all. A lot of times we don't even recover the administrative penalties.
Yeah. And it doesn't look like he's going to produce any harm because he's not going to serve anymore. Any comments? Or is Mr. Womble there?
No.
Okay. Is Stephen Lang there?
No, he's not here either.
Okay.
Do we need to flag his PSC number though, somehow? Just in case he has a change of heart down the road and decides to renew or take the initial server course over again?
We actually do put a disciplinary block on there. And so licensing is able to see that. And there are notes and blurbs on there saying that they need to contact us for any sanctions or penalties or anything that had gone on with their previous complaints.
I have a quick question for what Ms. Mohan said. You said that we often don't collect. I was under the impression that the state actually went after them if they refuse to pay.
It really depends on the amount that we're seeking. And it's through the Attorney General's office, and they usually go after just a high dollar amount for collection purposes.
This be considered a high dollar amount?
No.
Wow.
Okay. What do the rest of the members think about waiving the financial fine? Well, I guess we're not waiving it. We're just not accepting the recommendation in full. Does this have any effect on other complaints?
I don't think it would have an effect on any other complaints, but it would be a departure from how you've handled prior complaints. It would
Yes.
also be a departure from what the matrix, the penalty sanction matrix recommends for similar violations.
But we do want to stress that the committee does not have to stick to the matrix, that you guys can always make any changes or anything that you would like to do. That was basically a guide and suggestions on our part from past cases. But you're certainly able to make any alterations or not with those. They're only a suggestion and guide.
I do see in his order, his last order on here, it's ordered him to relinquish his license anyway.
I think his certification actually expired before then.
Okay. Was this the one that had language in the order that said that it's permanently revoked?
Yes.
I couldn't find that. Okay. Any discussion on whether to do anything with the suggested fines?
Be willing to make a motion to accept the staff recommendation as far as the permanent refusal to renew and waive or disregard the penalties.
I could second that.
I could go with that as well. Avina, can you fashion on the fly what that motion is going to be?
Sure, someone can move to permanently refuse to renew the respondent's process server certification. And that would be it. There's no assessment of an administrative penalty. And someone can just say so moved to make it easier.
So moved. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Or I needed to get a second before we went to the.
Dan seconded it.
All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. We're moving on now to agenda item 3D in the matter of Olawi Aderidan, cause number 0574. Ms. Smith, can we have your summary, please?
Yes. On June 16th, 2023, Katherine Stone, complainant, filed a complaint against Olawi Aderidan, respondent, alleging the respondent filed a false return of service and did not personally serve her, but instead placed the documents in her mailbox. In the court notes for her case, the judge noted improper service. The respondent could not recall this serve, and the complainant is here.
We did find violations of Code of Ethics 2B, 2C, 2D, and 14E. We're recommending the permanent revocation of the respondent's process server certification and a penalty of $2,000 total due within 12 months after the date of the final order.
Okay, we have Ms. Stone here. Or Mr. Aderidan.
And it looks like the respondent is also on as well.
Okay, so Ms. Stone, can you hear me?
She's still connecting, Pat.
Okay.
She's on.
Okay, Ms. Stone, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I apologize.
Okay. Is there anything you would like to add to what you have already presented to the committee?
I'm not sure what you have in front of you. I originally sent an affidavit to the court when I filed my special appearance because I hadn't been personally served. And the complaint that I filed tracks that affidavit pretty well.
Okay, and the court noted that it was improper service?
The court did, and he instructed the opposing counsel to serve me properly. They ended up non-suiting the case.
Okay. Is Mr. Aderidan there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, is there anything you would like to add to what you have already submitted to this committee?
No.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the committee members?
Mr. Aderidan, are you currently serving?
Yeah, I show it doesn't expire till April 30th of 2025.
Mr. Aderidan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but it's faint.
I'm sorry, I'm probably too far away. Are you currently serving documents? Serving process?
No, I don't.
You don't serve process anymore?
Yes, I've been stopped from serving ever since this incident.
And is that voluntarily, or you're not doing it because you don't want to?
It's not voluntary. My app was disabled, and then I also got a notice to that effect that I would have to hold on until this is sorted.
And who did that notice come from?
So what?
Who did that notice come from?
I can look in my mail, but I don't, it was even was it? Yeah, it was, yeah. I can look in my mail and look it up and see where I got that from. And immediately, even the app has not been working since. The app was disabled.
For which company?
ABC.
Yeah.
ABC Legal.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry to interject. I would like to say that the judge did note that day that one of the reasons that he did believe what I said was because he had several different complaints about this particular company. So I don't know if that's something to consider.
And sir, are you hoping to serve process in the future?
Yes, definitely. Because I've never had that kind of record before. That's number one. I've served more than 400 subjects, and there's never been a single complaint. So yeah.
Well, in the response or in the report from Ms. Smith, it says that you stated that you had to leave the legal paper either at their door or put paper in their mailbox simply because I have seen them and they have answered yes to their name. So you didn't personally give the papers to the complainant, correct?
Like I said in my response, that I could not, specifically remember this incident, but on many occasions, some of the subjects will tell you, please leave it here or leave it in my mailbox or something, because they don't want to personally, meet with you. So yeah, that happens when the subject particularly requests that you do that. After you call, you ask for their name, is this Mr. So? And they said yes. And they want to mention that you have a legal document for them. Some of them, they want to retrieve, or some of them will be like, look, leave it at my door, leave it here. And then usually I see them. So, yeah.
But in this case, you can't recall seeing Miss Stone before.
Honestly, I cannot recall, honestly.
And if you do service like that, where they tell you to leave the documentation, are you making note of that in your affidavit?
Yes, I do.
And how would you indicate that that was done? That you spoke to the defendant, identified them, and then essentially performed what I think is normally considered a drop serve?
Usually there's always a column where you put, notes, personal notes about your service on that day or whatever happens. Apart from the regular things that you have to tick, and then at the end of whatever you've ticked, there's always a column where you actually state, if you have any anyway, where you state anything that is out of ordinary or that is not usual in your attempt.
But when you complete the return of service, how is it indicated on the return of service?
What?
How is service indicated as it being returned? I'm sorry if you can't hear me. I'm going to switch.
Service indicated as being returned. That is, if I'm able to serve, is that what you're saying?
Well, if you look at your return of service, you don't indicate it was a drop serve. You say it was a personal delivery. And that's not the same as leaving it in the mailbox or something like that. And just because somebody tells you to leave it in the mailbox or whatever, that is not good service. Do you understand that?
Okay.
Because in your return of service, you state, I serve citation and petition upon Katherine Stone /C/O Katherine Stone by delivering one and correct copies thereof with Katherine Stone. I delivered the documents to Katherine Stone with identity confirmed by subject saying yes when named. Is that true or not?
Like I said, I cannot recall that incident exactly as it is.
Okay. Any further questions from members of the committee? Okay. I move to adopt the prosecutor's proposed violations and sanction. Do I have a second?
And I also have to say this, please. I don't know if I can. I saw in my mail that I was supposed to appear sometimes August last year, but I don't think I don't ever get any notice to that appearance. So it doesn't look like I hold the court in contempt. I didn't get any notice to that meeting, to that appearance.
Okay. I'm not sure I understand what it is you're saying. Would you repeat
I'm saying that I saw in my mail this invitation that I was supposed to appear last year, August, in court like this, but I did not show up.
In court or at a committee meeting?
On Zoom like this. Anyway, according to that, to that mail that I got, a few days ago. But I'm saying that I didn't see anything. I didn't get any notice to that effect.
I think I follow what the respondent is saying, Mr. Chairman. On June 29, 2023, per the investigation report, notice was sent to the respondent informing him of a hearing regarding the service that was scheduled for August 17, 2023. He explained that he did not appear at that hearing, and I think he means the court hearing and where the judge determined that service was improper.
Okay, any other committee questions? I'm just going to throw this out there, but if the defense is, I don't remember, that is a horrible defense. You've got to be able to defend your services, and simply not doing anything about it ends up where you're in a position just like you are today, saying, I don't know. And the other person said they did A, B, C, D, and all you can say is, I don't know. You know, I would think you'd be more meticulous about your serves.
Yeah, it's not because I don't want to know. Like I said, I have served, quite hundreds of people, and to be able to remember them, one after the other, honestly, except it's very recent. If it's very recent, maybe I can, once it's like months back, honestly, it's a bit difficult for me to actually, recollect all that happened.
Like I said, it's your job. How you decide to do it or not do it's going to cause you problems, just like it does right today. Okay, do I have any other comments?
I have a comment. Would the committee consider an education course and the fines? It sounds like maybe because this gentleman would like to continue to serve process, maybe this is a learning lesson for him, and he'll conduct himself in a more, I say, professional way, as a professional process server, and rely less on applications that can be taken away from you. I think that that's a continuing theme today. But if you're interested in continuing to be a process server, that might be something that propels you to do more on your own, as opposed to relying on the technology that's being provided to you and can be taken away.
Okay. I'll take note of that.
No, hold on. Do any committee members with regard to what Justice was saying? Vina, is it consistent with the sanctions?
It would not be.
You
And there's a long history of the committee making decisions a certain way. And typically for these types of violations, it has been a permanent revocation. And that's the trend that the commission has also been taking. So it would be a departure. But as Ms. Saucedo said, the guidelines, the matrix is just a guideline.
right?
Look at the totality of the case.
All right, I'm still in favor of the recommendation made by the staff. I'm open for someone else to put up a motion otherwise. Justice, you had indicated that you would be amenable to some form of education like we've had in the past.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you could refer with Vina's assistance, if you could
the world,
we know what we're voting.
I would make a motion that we adopt the staff recommendation of administrative penalty of $2,000 due within 12 months after the date of the final order for the violation of rules and the requirement to take the 7-hour pre-certification course.
Yeah, I have no other suggestions on that motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Sorry,
Actually, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I forgot one thing. When should he complete the course? What is his deadline for completing the course?
Within the 12 months.
And this is going to be in addition, correct, to the any sort of renewal or anything he has to do, correct? Okay.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 All in favor, all in against, say nay. Nay. The motion passes. Mr. Aderidan, you will be receiving correspondence from the committee relatively soon. I imagine. Do we have a time deadline?
We don't, but we'll get it out as soon as we can.
Okay. All right. That's good. Mr. Aderidan, you are free to listen to the rest of the meeting or to go about your normal business. Thank you for attending.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. We now move to agenda item 3E in the matter of Angelica Vasquez, cause number 0595. Ms. Smith?
Yes. On August 2nd, 2023, Gary Coleman, the complainant, filed a complaint against Angelica Vasquez, the respondent, alleging the respondent filed a false return of service and did not personally serve the complainant, but instead placed the citation in his mailbox. Due to the amount of time that has passed, the respondent was unable to recall details regarding this serve and admitted she may have delivered the documents to the wrong individual.
We did find violations in this case of 2B, Code of Ethics 2B, 2C, 2D, 14E. Per the sanction matrix, we're recommending a permanent revocation of the respondent's process server certification and a penalty of $2,000 total due within 12 months after the date of the final order.
That's pretty much the exact same staff recommendation as we just had with Mr. Aderidan, right?
That's correct.
Comments or discussion? I see a trend here of going back to the old process. Any comments?
Do we have the respondent here?
I'm sorry, I forgot to ask. Do we have Ms. Vasquez here?
No.
Do we have Mr. Coleman here?
No, he was not going to attend.
Okay. And we also have the same defense. I guess due to the amount of time that has passed, the respondent was unable to recall details regarding the serve. The respondent admitted that she may have delivered the documents to the wrong individual, which is a necessary consequence of failing to maintain adequate documents to prove your serves. I'm in the same position that I was on the previous violation. Do we have a motion from the other side as to whether or not to accept or reject the staff recommendations?
Make the motion, we accept the staff recommendations.
Okay, I gotta ask, why do that with this one, but not do the same with Aderidan?
Person didn't show up.
That was going to be my response.
Because I think part of the preamble talks about whether the person is corrected the situation, made amends to do it, and give compelling arguments to why not. And so they didn't even respond here in this case to provide any of that. Just a letter saying, "Yeah, I might have served somebody wrong," and that was about it. And takes full responsibility in the letter they provided.
Okay. I can go with that. Any questions or comments?
Only comment would be that the person previously showed up.
Okay. Well, I move to accept the staff recommendation. Move the staff recommendation to the permanent revocation of the respondent's process server certification and an administrative penalty of $2,000 total due within 12 months after the date of the final order for violation of rules Code of Ethics 2B, 2C, 2D, and 14E. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. At this point, we're going to go into closed session. And so Process Server Complaint Review Committee of the Judicial Branch Certification Commission will go into closed session at this time pursuant to the Commission's Public Meetings Policy Sections 8A2 and 8F to confer with legal counsel on Agenda Item 3F. Members of the public will not have access to the closed session. The host will stop streaming at this time on YouTube. The time is